My name is MissMe, and I'm an artful vandal. I roam the city streets at night, and I use the city walls as my gallery. What I do is considered vandalism, and 90% of my work is illegal. But that doesn't mean I don't have a deep sense of morality or hopes for a better society. Most people have a theory about what a better society should be. And here is mine. The most important thing, the ultimate foundation for any human to strive towards a more stable, a better society, is not finding happiness in the little things. It's not passion. It's not even freedom, in my opinion. The most important thing to me is dignity. I think dignity has to come before for any of these things to even be possible. As without dignity, we die from the inside. And when one has his sense of self-value taken away from them, they will grow frustrated in the best case scenario and aggressive and violent in the worst case. We all know that stomach-eating feeling of having your emotion dismissed, of having your pain said not to count, of having your version of events said to be lies. And I think that can come from many things. But one of them is this commonly accepted idea of a single truth. That every event, identity, story, history really has one objective reality, one objective truth that we must, as better people, strive towards to find and then commonly accept. And as a result, we tend to oppose any other versions of that truth. Because of this very binary vision of our world. If you're right, then I'm wrong. And if I'm right, then you're wrong. And so we get mad when someone challenges our version of the truth because it is our reality, what we know, what we have lived. And so what do we get? Confrontation. I'm the child of a mixed marriage. My father married outside his community, his religion, his language, his culture, his social class. My mother wasn't accepted at all. My entire life, people have made me feel like I didn't belong. They called me weird, different, rebellious, asking me constantly why I was always trying to stand out. I am the daughter of a French lower-class convert in a very closed, high-class Jewish community. I am the brown-eyed, brown-haired Jewish cousin in a blonde Catholic family. I was one of 7 Jewish kids on 1,300 students in my ZEP high school. ZEP means Zone d'Éducation Prioritaire, which really is a fancy word to say worse and most violent schools in the country, where most second-generation immigrants are sent. My nickname was the Jew, La Feuge. That's how everybody called me. Even in my own group of friends, which was entirely made of Arabs and African kids. Because all of my French friends had bullied me so much, at some point I decided to stop calling them my friends. We have all been bullied. And I was, because of my religion, because I was a minority, but because of my body, the shape it has, and the power it had, and how people reacted toward it, even when I was trying to hide it. Going to school every day was a little bit like going to war. But I didn't hate most of it. I actually really liked it, as it really truly made me feel like a soldier. Because I quickly realized one thing, that no matter how hard I tried, I could never win. I could never fit any of these boxes, these truths, these definitions. The proper real Jew, the proper respectable girl according to what they said, and the cool kid like the other kids. So I took a conscious decision to make all of my unfittingness what would define me, to not only accept it, but to make it my strength and what I was going to be known for. And I didn't leave any of these circles. I stayed. I decided to challenge all of these ideas, these truths, these identities from within. I was going to be just as Jewish, just not like them. I was going to be just a strong part of my families, just not like them. I was going to be a respectable girl, someone that deserved to be respected, just my own way, not their way. And I was going to be a very strong part of my groups of friends, just the one with the big Star of David. And with this constant experience of mine of having to rebuild my own identity with parts that were always presented to me as opposites or even conflicting, I realized something bigger about how our society teaches us to see the world, and that is to accept this idea of a single truth. And we see it the way we deal with justice, with history, with gender, every issue. One issue, one truth. I don't remember much about my Jewish after school, but I do remember this one particular lesson about the 10 Commandments. You shall not lie. Doesn't that make you wonder why? Why doesn't it say, tell the truth? It seems so much more straight to the point and easier to get. Because it is impossible to tell the truth. The truth is unattainable. The very best one can do, no matter how educated, no matter how well-intentioned, no matter how deeply he researched, the very best one can do is to not lie. And that's what I do. It has become my way to heal my relationship with society, my way to fight the louder voice when it asserts things that oppresses my reality and what I know, and my way to prove my own existence. And I do so not to impose my version of reality, but to be a necessary counter voice, a counter, another not lie. And I do it about things that matter to me and that I know to be true through my experience as the daughter of generations of refugees and even genocide, and as a woman. I'm going to show you some examples. This piece is called Lady Liberty. And it is a simple image that is perceived by some as a contradiction. On one hand, you have the Statue of Liberty, the freedom and the equality for all it represents. And superimposed is a Native American headdress, some Native American elements, and the date 1492, which is when Christopher Columbus discovered this continent or was rescued at sea, depending on how you want to see it. Now, I'm not trying to criticize the values that this statue represents. I'm not trying to criticize the Statue of Liberty. On the opposite, quite the opposite. All I'm trying to say is that by ignoring the massacres and cultural genocide this statue is historically based on, we are weakening these same values we're trying to champion. That we can both acknowledge the dark part of this continent's history and love and believe in freedom for all and equality for all. That accepting the truth of the Native American doesn't take away from the truth this statue stands for. This is one of my more recognized pieces. And it is called The Portrait of a Vandal. And it is my answer to my struggle as a woman with society through my body and my sexuality. Because to be born with a woman's body is to bear the unsolicited burden of society's unresolved attitude towards sex. We're told to be ashamed of our sexuality and to apologize for the power of our bodies. And this is my soldier. It is a life-size version of me, and I put it everywhere. And she is not seducing. She just is. She is not vulgar. She is not sexual. She is just naked. and she is not apologizing for it. This is part of my Aspire to Inspire series, and it really is my answer to the women the media and social media chooses to put forward and to talk about and to give social value and power to. And I do specify social media as well, because it is very easy for us to just talk about the media as this exterior force, but social media is all of us. You may recognize some of these ladies: Maya Angelou, Malala, Simone de Beauvoir, Ellen Keller. And I think we're not celebrating the right accomplishments for women, as the glorification of beauty and the normalization of vanity really aren't accomplishments. And by feeding into it, by participating into all of that, even just talking about it, these type of people, that kind of behavior, really feeds into that truth that maybe these are worth valuing for women. And so I put these women everywhere as my answer, my counter voice to that reality that I don't agree with. And I think these women are better women to aspire to be inspired from. Again, these are my found truth. And I don't intend to impose them, as a liberation, no matter how authentic and efficient it may be for some, even when it resonates with many, will remain a form of oppression if it is imposed as a single truth. If I want you to remember one thing from all of this, it would be the following. The word truth should never be written singular. It should always be written plural. And to know one doesn't mean the others have to necessarily be wrong. They can seem to oppose each other in facts and still both be true. And it is important when we deal with history, as any event will be lived very differently depending on what side we stand, what side we were on, in a smaller scale and in a bigger scale. In justice, in gender, as a woman, I know there are millions of definitions of what a real woman is, and they're all valid. And as we strive to be more empowered and sexually liberated, we must remember that these struggles are very different, and therefore the liberations will take very different forms. And some of them may seem to oppose each other in their shapes, but I argue that they're valid. That one can choose to cover up as a sign of liberation, and one can decide to undress as a sign of liberation, and they're both valid. Most people have a theory about what a better society should be. Here is mine. The most important thing, the ultimate foundation for any human society to strive towards a better future is dignity. As with dignity, we give each other the safe space to not feel threatened, to have our emotions accepted and validated so we can start connecting through our differences. And in a society that understands dignity, don't you think we might get maybe a little less confrontational? Less territorial? One issue, many truths, and they're all true. My name is MissMe. I'm an artful vandal.